Yo, what's going on, y'all? We back with another episode of the Real Ops Podcast. Man, today we're gonna be talking about some of the jaded expectations that today's women place on men. We're not gonna go into the like, comment, subscribe because y'all already know what to do. I'm gonna give y'all a reminder at the end of this, but this is one we gotta get straight to it, man. The perception that the women have on today's man is jaded. And to me, that starts with the household and the dynamic of the single mother raising the son or the single mother raising the son and the daughter because the dynamic and the roles have reversed to where the woman usually raises the daughter to be independent, self-sufficient, which that dynamic should be placed on the son. But I'm gonna tell y'all why the roles has reversed. It comes from a distaste, a bitter taste in their mouth as a woman being left alone or ultimately making a bad choice and the brother that she chose from the beginning to where she kind of knew she was going to be alone. Listen here, man. We all have that instinctual nature that let us know when something is right and wrong, when something don't feel right, when something ain't right. But it's always easier to do the wrong shit and to kind of go against the grain than to be uncomfortable and use the brain. So a lot of times that's how these scenarios play out. You have a single mother, she got the son, she got the daughter. She raising the son to be soft and she kind of keeping him under a certain umbrella, you know what I'm saying, to where he's in tune with his feelings and all these feminine traits and feminine qualities. But then you have the daughter, because the mom is bitter, she raising the daughter to be stone cold. She raising the daughter to have a hurtful tongue. She raising the daughter to be disrespectful in her actions. She raising the daughter to be just all these things outside of being feminine and submissive in the end, to where that daughter won't go down the same path and that daughter will be able to make better choices. But instead of doing that, she places that ideology and that mentality on the daughter instead of the son. So now when a man grows up and he reaches a certain age, the expectations is all wrong because it starts with an investigation of what can you do for me, how can you provide for me, and all these other things. Today's some of the expectations today's women place on us is they want us to be able to relate to their feelings. I'll never be able to relate to your feelings. I'll be able to hear your feelings. I'll be able to kind of accept how you feel based on understanding and communication, but I can't relate because our makeup ain't the same. You know what I'm saying? The way that we operate based on logic would never line up the way that y'all operate based on emotions. So my emotions ain't gonna line up with your emotions. You know what I'm saying? We can make it make sense through a conversation, but it's not gonna line up like that. So outside of relating to feelings, our value as men a lot of times is just placed on what can we do? How can we provide? And that's why we be so caught up on pretty much impressing a woman or coming with a bag or, I'm in the barbershop. So I hear a lot of brothers say all the time, oh man, I got to make sure I'm in a position to do this, to do that, to do that. You ain't going to never be in a position to do this, to do that, to do that. Because me, man, I start off in the situation 24 years old, pretty much had my first two at the same time. I wasn't in a position to take care of these kids or whatever, but God blessed me just with a mind and with a work ethic to where it was like, okay, I put myself in this situation. I got to man up. So I did what I had to do, and I was able to, swim through the trials and the tribulations and get there. But that's because I had pops in my life, and he raised me to be a man, not to be soft, to stand up on my priorities and my responsibilities. And the expectations was never flip flop. Got a sister 9 years older than me, and she was raised to be a woman. She wasn't raised to be the head of the household and to do this. Now, does she have those qualities and those traits? Of course, because there was balance in the house. We had moms and pops. There was balance in the house. So you always got to see how a woman can contribute and be her own woman, yet still be submissive and be led. So just the whole dynamic, man, of how they got the game all twisted up. That's why you see a lot of these others, and they got a whole new community now, of people, so called. And to me, those are people that choose an easier reality. You know what I'm saying? Because it's easier to just not fall under any umbrella, because what that does is it releases the responsibility. So if I take myself from saying I'm a man and I go over here and I say I'm XYZ, this, that, or the other, whatever it may be, now in a way, I've released that responsibility or that expectation as a man. And that don't fall to all people, because you have your true, gays and lesbians, and they still feel the role as men and women. They just have different sexual preferences. I respect that. To each his own. If that's what you choose, that's what you choose. But with the other things and the other umbrellas, I think that has a lot to do with the upbringing of the single mom and the single household, how things just get all out of whack. And not all situations is like that, because it depends on that single mother. It depends on how her relationship was with that person that she had kids. Because in my opinion, if she don't walk away bitter, or if she's not looking at the world like they owe her something, then she'll be able to still raise that daughter like a daughter. She'll be still able to raise her son to be strong, stand on his own, have some backbone, have some nuts, and not be, the submissive person in the role, to where, man, I hear I hear situations where men are accepting things from women, and a lot of times that's based on, as a man, not knowing your true value as a man, and nobody's ever really giving you value as a man, because you have that single mom that's telling her son, well, you got to listen to the women, you got to always treat them right. And that's coming from a woman's perspective, that can be jaded. Because, yeah, I told my son the same thing: always respect the woman, always treat her right, never put your hands on her, but at all times, and don't ever fall short of being a man. Let that woman know that you're not going to accept no flim flam, you're not going to accept no bull, and you're not going to be disrespected as a man, and you're not going to be misled, you know what I'm saying, and played with. Because a lot of brothers, they allow themselves to be played with, or to be, you know what I'm saying, to be puppeteers, just because they feel like, oh, they got a good woman. But a good woman is going to bring the best out of you, and she's going to push you, and she's not going to really have a whole lot of expectations on you outside of being a man. And if she understands and she has her own vision of what she wants her man to be for her, then that's something y'all can sit down, communicate, and y'all can get out of. So what this does in turns is it it causes the man to accept low energy frequencies, and to accept, like I said, disrespect in actions, disrespect from the tongue. Some of these women out here expect you to accept the fact that they got all these other dudes in their life. I've had that before, to where a woman told me, you can't tell me who I could be friends with. You know what? You're right. But if your respect don't line up with what I'm telling you, then you can't expect me to stick around your ass. You can't expect me to pay these bills around here. You can't expect me to fulfill my role as a man if you can't respect what a real man is. So the expectations and what's respected, I think that's become jaded in 2024. And because of the so-called culture that everybody is following, and you got these older women telling women that, they could be on OnlyFans and all this, and they don't look at it like they pretty much on the blade, or they tooting. Their perception is jaded. Their perception is jaded, because now I come from the old school. And to me, that's when pimping and all that was going on. Those particular women who chose to do their own thing but still fell under that umbrella as being a prostitute, hook, or whatever, those was called renegades. So now you renegading. You don't want to be under a P or whatever. So now your pimp is OnlyFans. So now, you know what I'm saying, your pimp is your account name and all that. And it's like, at the end of the day, that don't make the situation no better because you softened up the title or you fell up under a different umbrella. You still carrying yourself within those same actions and those same results and consequences to where, yeah, you turn in tricks or you turn in acts or whatever in return to get paid. And some of the women out here expect men to accept that. I've seen it a million times to where a woman expect to be able to be on OnlyFans, turning trick, but because she's bringing home money and because that's how we're valued as men, as what we can do for them. So we're supposed to accept the fact that she's turning tricks and she's basically a prostitute because she's bringing home a bag. And that's all that's valued is what can you do for me? How much can you bring? What can you pay? Well, if you ain't got this, then you can't be mad that I'm gonna be a stripper. I'm gonna be at the, and it's like, that comes from that single mother's mentality to where she's so stuck on getting her daughter to not be in the same place that she's in that ultimately that's exactly what she's going to do. She's going to repeat that cycle and her daughter's going to be in the same place that she's in. Why? Because she's teaching her to be so headstrong and not have no submission to respect and to, to being led, that she's trying to lead herself, and the only place she's gonna lead herself is by herself, because a real man is not gonna be led by a woman. A real man is gonna listen to a woman. A real man is gonna respect that woman. A real man is gonna ultimately protect that woman. But at the end of the day, my woman, she can't really lead me in a certain direction. She can lead me back to my vision. She can lead me back to, my respectful state of mind that I came in the door with if I get sidetracked or if I start to, fall off my path or something. Yeah, she can lead me back in. She can reel me back in. Baby, now remember when you told me when you started, your plan was, damn, you know what? You're right. I'm falling off my cue. I love you. Appreciate you. We're going to get this thing back on track. She can lead me like that easily, but she cannot lead me as far as your vision is going to be the one that's, that's going to stand above everything. And that's what we follow it. And I'm going to follow you. Nah, we can both be visionaries. She can have hers, she can have mine, and we can bounce off each other and we can make this thing bigger and better than ever. But at the end of the day, the expectations, like I mentioned in the beginning, that the women place on men, it's all jaded from the start, just based on how and what taste was left in that mother's mouth when she became a single mother. And that's all it boils down to. Because like I said before, I've seen single mothers. I got partners that was raised by just their moms. But you know what? Their moms was old school moms. Their moms was, boy, you ain't gonna be no punk. Their moms was, boy, if you get a girlfriend, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna treat her right. Don't let her talk to you no type of way and all that. Some of these moms out here is like they so tit for tat that they don't even realize, like, you're leading your son down a road of destruction and you're leading your daughter back into the same state and place and state of mind that you in right now, that got you feeling like you need to tell her this and you need to tell her that, when at the end of the day, you need to show her the opposite of what you've done. You need to show your son how, and the cause and effect of what it is to be, if you have a child and you leave that mother out there on her own, especially if she got a son. And I can only say this because I got one son and I rock with my son. He 20 years old now, and he's become my best friend. But he was never my friend. I never raised my son to be my friend. I always raised my son to be my son. Why? Because the biggest thing missing from men today is self-respect. Self-respect will have them being crash dummies, as everybody said in the word. They will have them crashing out and following and trying to impress people who really don't give a damn about them. You know what I'm saying? And the whole thing of the expectations that falls under a different umbrella when it comes to, a man raising daughters, because it's our job to teach the daughters in a way what not to deal with, and to be able to see what's too much, to be able to see what's too controlling, to be able to see now he really don't love you, he trying to play you. So there's different dynamics, and those roles can never be crossed or switch rights. You know what I'm saying? It gets to a certain point to where the daughter needs to be getting certain things from the mom, and the son can only get certain things from the father. So the expectations get all crossed up when you have these women that are stuck on, you know, not even letting a stepdad come into the life, because a man is a man. He gonna come and he gonna share his perspective and all that. But some of the single women, they be so bitter that they won't even let another man come into the life to be able to be that impact, to be able to be that influence for the sons or for the kids that they do have, even though the initial brother who they laid down with may not be in the picture, may not be, the choice for them or whatever it is. At the end of the day, we all need somebody around. We were designed to have that balance, excuse me. So that was my spiel on, you know, just some of the ways that today's expectations that women place on men, a lot of that comes from the upbringing of the generation. You know, there's a gap in the mentality. There's a gap in how the women, like my mom, her age group and all that, there's a gap in that, because now grandma, think about it, how old is grandma now? Grandma might be 45, 50. Where before grandma was 60, 70. You know what I'm saying? Grandma had been here a long time, and she was able to really spill some game into your ear, as her grandkids or grandson, granddaughter, whatever it was. And mama was groomed right before, she had kids. Even if she was a single mother, she was groomed and you know what I'm saying, nurtured long enough and fed that game long enough to where she would be able to stand on her own without instilling those bad values or those bad vibes or that bad energy or that bad, those bad frequencies into her kids, to where their habits wouldn't be based on her emotions and they wouldn't be raised based on her emotions. So at the end of the day, man, the message is that we have to hold ourselves accountable for how we raise, our offspring, the people up under us, because that's creating the dynamic of the world today. And there's a lot of women out here talking about, men ain't shit and this and that, but is at the end of the day, you got to go back, do the reverse engineering and look at the choices that your mama made, and look at the cause and effect of what state her emotions was left in, and how that spilled over into your traumas, because you just, a reflection of good choices, bad choices, traumas, emotional, wrecks, or whatever you want to call them. We are the cause and effect of that. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, we need to just be more keen and be more stern on ourselves when it comes to, what I'm saying, making sure we set the example, especially when we know, because we all are born with that righteous nature and we all have those instincts and we all know what's right, what we should be saying, and what we shouldn't be saying. So at the end of the day, if you one of the women out there and any of these things fall into you, don't take nothing personal, because this ain't about that. This is all to open up the perception and open up the mentality to see that, okay, you're right. I can't be raising my daughter to feel like she gonna be running everything and she gonna be doing it. Yeah, she's gonna be strong, she's gonna be fierce, and she's gonna be independent, but she's also gonna know when to fall under her role and be submissive and allow a good, strong minded brother to lead her into bigger and better things, and also be able to be his backbone and his support. So when he come home, he can plug in, he can recharge, and y'all can get somewhere, you know what I'm saying, in the world, whether y'all have kids or not. Y'all can get somewhere in the world because y'all tapping into each other's energies, and there's a balance called being equally yoked. So as long as things is equally yoked and we raising our kids on the equal playing field to where the daughters are raised as the daughters and the sons are raised as the sons, eventually the dynamic will start to shift all over again, because they say history repeats itself. So we're going through a cycle right now that for me, I didn't think I would be seeing, just the mentality of the women and the way that they talk and their expectations and how they quick to pop their tongue at a man and all this. We got to change the dynamic, people. We got to change the dynamic. But that's all the time I got. I hope y'all got something from this. As always, man, this is just food for thought. Y'all can put the food on your table and then do the dishes later. Eat what you want, throw away what don't apply. You understand what I'm saying? Thank y'all for tuning to the Real Ops Podcast, man. Every Sunday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Let's go.